Welcome, everyone, to vpod.ai. I'm your host, Mike, and joining me today is our expert, Susan. You can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit vpod.ai to get started today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to get into our topic today.
I am too, because, well, I want you, the listener, to picture your kitchen spice rack right now. Next time you open that cabinet to season a Tuesday night dinner, I want you to look really closely at those little jars.
Oh yeah, people just see them as flavor enhancers.
Right. But what if you aren't just looking at flavor? What if you are staring at a miniature, highly potent, completely unregulated pharmacy? A pharmacy that is, actively altering how your blood flows.
It completely shifts your perspective on the pantry, doesn't it? I mean, when we actually analyze the chemical reality of your everyday meals, the biological stakes get remarkably high.
They really do. And that's our mission for today. We're going to explore exactly how 17 everyday spices, foods, and supplements naturally act as blood thinners.
Yeah, and to understand why this matters so much to you, we have to talk about the double-edged sword of blood clotting. Because, coagulation is an absolute miracle when you need it.
Right, like if you get a cut, you need a clot to heal.
Exactly. But if you have a heart condition like atrial fibrillation or maybe a congenital heart defect, a rogue clot in the wrong place can be fatal. It's a huge risk.
Got it. So we're looking at how the things you eat chemically manipulate that exact process. But before we start ripping through the pantry, we really need to understand the mechanics here.
Oh, for sure. We need to define what a blood thinner actually is.
Yeah, because when I hear blood thinner, it always sounds to me like we're just adding water to a thick syrup, like we're changing the viscosity.
That is such a common misconception. But blood thinner is really just this big umbrella term for two entirely different mechanical processes. We have anticoagulants and antiplatelets.
Okay, so they don't actually change the thickness of your blood.
Not at all. They just stop clots from forming. Anticoagulants work by targeting the chemical pathways in your plasma. They specifically stop certain proteins from forming this sticky web that catches blood cells.
Okay, and the antiplatelets.
Right, so antiplatelets target the platelets themselves. Platelets are these tiny cell fragments in your blood, and this type of thinner stops them from clumping together.
Let me try to visualize this. Tell me if this works.
Mm-hmm.
I picture platelets like a bunch of sticky Lego blocks floating around in your veins.
Okay, I like that.
So when they bump into each other, they click together to build a wall, which is the clot. Antiplatelets basically coat those Lego blocks in a slippery film so they can't click together anymore.
Yes, exactly.
And then anticoagulants, meanwhile, are like removing the chemical glue that holds the entire Lego structure in place.
That is a brilliant way to picture it, actually. You're either making the blocks slippery or you're removing the glue. Both stop the wall from being built.
So here is a crucial question for you then. Let's say you already have a clot somewhere in your leg. If you start eating a bunch of these specific spices, are we talking about a microscopic drain cleaner here?
Oh, I see where you're going.
Yeah, like will these spices break up that clot?
I am incredibly glad you brought that up because we need to establish a vital medical truth right now. Blood thinners, whether they are natural spices or heavy-duty prescription pills, do not break up existing clots.
Wait, really? Not even the prescriptions?
Nope. They are not drain cleaners. They only prevent new clots from forming. Or, they stop an existing clot from grabbing more of those Lego blocks and getting larger.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is entirely about prevention, not a rescue operation.
Precisely. It's all about maintaining flow.
Keeping that in mind, let's crack open the spice rack. Let's start with cayenne pepper, because I drown my pizza in it just for the kick.
Oh, a lot of people do.
But you're telling me I'm actually giving myself a minor pharmaceutical dose when I do that?
You really are. Cayenne, which comes from the Capsicum annuum plant, contains specific phytochemicals known as salicylates.
Salicylates, okay.
If that word sounds familiar, it's because salicylates are chemically very similar to the active compounds found in aspirin. So by eating cayenne, you are introducing a compound into your blood that functions as a natural antiplatelet.
So the heat in my chili is basically doing some of the work of a baby aspirin.
Essentially, yes. Now, there isn't strict medical guidance on exactly how many teaspoons of cayenne you need to eat to get a specific cardiovascular result, but laboratory research shows that capsicum clearly has anti-clotting properties.
That is incredible. Now, if cayenne brings the heat, what about something sweet? Because I read that cinnamon is on this list too, specifically the Cinnamomum zolaceum variety.
Yes, cinnamon is fascinating, and it uses an entirely different mechanism than cayenne. Cinnamon contains a phytochemical called coumarin.
Coumarin, got it.
Right, and coumarin doesn't coat your platelets. Instead, it acts as an anticoagulant by actively inhibiting vitamin K in your body.
Okay, wait, why does vitamin K matter for a clot?
Because vitamin K is the essential building block your liver uses to produce coagulation proteins. It is the factory material for the glue we talked about.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so by consuming coumarin in cinnamon, you are essentially starving the blood of the ingredients it needs to build a clot.
Which seems like such an easy thing to incorporate into your day, like you just sprinkle it on oatmeal or stir it into your coffee.
It is super easy.
But I imagine like anything that alters your liver's protein production, you can probably overdo it.
You certainly can. In typical culinary dashes, it's perfectly safe. But if you start consuming massive quantities of cinnamon long term, you could trigger severe gastrointestinal issues or even allergic reactions. Your body just isn't meant to process huge raw doses of coumarin.
Right, that makes sense. Well, speaking of raw doses, let's move to the ultimate kitchen staple, garlic.
Ah, yes. Allium sativa.
Yeah, garlic is in everything.
Garlic is an absolute chemical powerhouse, but the mechanism is unique because it actually requires a bit of culinary action on your part.
What do you mean, like how you cook it?
Sort of. When you physically crush or chop a clove of garlic, you trigger a chemical reaction where a compound called align converts into a new substance called ajoin.
So you have to literally damage the garlic to activate the medicine.
Exactly. And that ajoin acts as an antiplatelet. Going back to your Lego analogy again, the ajoin binds to the sticky receptors on the platelets.
Wow.
But we do have to ground this in clinical reality because in a petri dish, ajoin is amazing. But one major clinical trial found that taking garlic tablets is nowhere near as effective as a standard cardioprotective dose of aspirin.
Oh, interesting. So garlic is great in the lab, but it kind of loses its punch in the chaos of the human digestive system.
Yeah, your stomach acid and metabolism change things.
Does that happen with other roots? I'm thinking of something like ginger.
It is a very similar story with ginger. Yeah, Zingiber officinale. Ginger is packed with these bioactive substances called gingerol and shogo.
And they work well.
In controlled lab environments, those two compounds beautifully stop platelets from forming clots. But when researchers take those tests out of the lab and run human trials, the results are incredibly mixed.
Really? Why is that?
The human body just metabolizes gingerol in a way that makes its anti-clotting effects highly unpredictable. It varies from person to person.
Okay, so a stir fry with garlic and ginger is a heart-healthy choice for sure, but you definitely shouldn't cancel your doctor's appointment over it.
Right, exactly.
Which brings us to the golden child of the modern wellness world, turmeric. Its bioactive compound is curcumin.
Right. And curcumin is a massive player here. Lab research confirms it has strong anticoagulant properties.
But people seem to flock to turmeric because it's a multi-tool, don't they?
They do. It doesn't just thin the blood. It fights inflammation, it helps with pain, and it has even shown benefits for metabolic syndrome and kidney disease.
But wait, if curcumin is that powerful of an anticoagulant, isn't there a huge risk if you're already taking a prescription thinner?
A life-threatening risk, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you are on a prescription anticoagulant, like warfarin, and you decide to start taking highly concentrated turmeric or curcumin supplements to be, extra healthy, you are essentially double dosing.
Oh man, that sounds bad.
It is. The two thinners compound on top of each other, drastically increasing your risk of spontaneous internal bleeding.
Okay, that is a huge warning. Let's shift gears then.
Hmm.
We've gone through the spice rack, but let's move over to the fruit bowl and the bulk of your daily diet.
Good idea.
Because I was shocked to learn that your morning juice and side salads are secretly waging this chemical tug of war in your bloodstream. Let's talk about cranberries.
Cranberries are another prime source of natural salicylates, specifically salicylic acid.
Just like the cayenne pepper we discussed.
Exactly. This gives cranberries that aspirin-like anticoagulant effect.
Okay, but I have to stop you here and vent a little frustration on behalf of anyone trying to follow the science on this, because the medical advice out there is incredibly confusing.
It really can be.
Listen to this timeline. I mean, it's crazy. There was a major research review in 2022 that explicitly stated people on blood thinners like warfarin should absolutely max out at 24 ounces of cranberry juice a day to avoid dangerous bleeding.
Right, that was the standard caution.
But then, fast forward to a report from 2024, and the findings completely flipped. The 2024 report noted that the FDA actually removed their warning regarding cranberry juice and warfarin. They said the evidence was deemed too inconsistent.
Yeah, that did happen.
How are you supposed to navigate the grocery store when the medical rules contradict themselves every 2 years?
I completely hear your frustration. It feels like dietary whiplash. But what you're looking at isn't a failure of science. It is the scientific process working exactly as it should.
By changing its mind.
Well, evidence evolves. The 2022 review operated on the best data available at the time, which leaned cautious. By 2024, larger, better-controlled studies revealed that the interaction just wasn't as universally dangerous as previously thought.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
For you, the listener, the takeaway shouldn't be to panic every time a headline changes. It should be a focus on moderation. You don't need to banish cranberry juice from your fridge, but you also shouldn't be chugging it by the gallon if you're on heart medication.
I like that. Moderation over panic. Now let's talk about a genuine head-scratcher. You mentioned earlier that vitamin K is the essential building block for making clots.
Yes, it's the glue factory.
Right. And where do we get the most vitamin K leafy greens? Spinach, kale, collard greens, they are incredibly healthy, and they are packed with this fat-soluble vitamin.
They are?
So wait, if I have a cardiovascular issue and I am actively taking a prescription blood thinner, eating a massive, supposedly healthy kale salad could actually be sabotaging my medication.
Exactly. It's known as the vitamin K paradox.
The vitamin K paradox.
Yeah. People try to adopt a heart-healthy diet. They eat these massive bowls of spinach, and they unknowingly ruin their medical treatment.
Let me try another analogy here. If my prescription medication is, say, a nightclub bouncer trying to keep clots out of my bloodstream, is eating a massive bowl of kale basically handing those clots a VIP pass to sneak right past the bouncer?
That is precisely what is happening. The medication is trying to shut down the clot factory, and your salad is backing a dump truck full of fresh building materials right up to the loading dock.
Oh, man.
You completely cancel out the thinner. This is why people on medications like warfarin have to work really closely with the dietitian to keep their vitamin K intake perfectly consistent.
That is wild. If vitamin K is building the clots, is there a nutrient on the opposite end of the spectrum actively tearing them down? Like, what about vitamin E?
Yes, vitamin E acts as a biological antagonist to vitamin K. It has strong anticoagulant properties and actively inhibits vitamin K's ability to form clots.
So should we all be popping high-dose vitamin E pills then?
Definitely not. Excessive supplementation of vitamin E is dangerous, especially if you combine it with aspirin.
Oh, because it thins it too much.
Right. The safest, most effective way to get the anti-clotting benefits of vitamin E is through whole foods. Nuts and seeds are perfect for this.
Like almonds.
Almonds, hazelnuts, sunflower seeds, and peanuts. They deliver a gentle, moderate dose of vitamin E that supports healthy blood flow without the sudden, risky flood you get from a concentrated pill.
Good to know. Well, let's actually wander down the metaphorical supplement aisle for a moment. Because when diet alone isn't cutting it, people inevitably turn to concentrated oils and extracts. Fish oil is probably the most famous one.
Fish oil is massive for cardiovascular health, primarily because of the omega-3 fatty acids.
Right, omega-3s.
Those omega-3s directly prevent platelet aggregation. They make those Lego blocks incredibly slippery. And the clinical research is highly specific on the dosage here. Experts recommend a window of 2 to 4 grams per day of omega-3 fatty acids for optimal antiplatelet benefits.
2 to 4 grams. That sounds easy enough to manage. What about plant-based oils? Evening primrose oil and grapeseed extract are both on the list.
Both of those are fascinating. Evening primrose oil comes from the seeds of the Anthera biennis plant. Animal and lab research shows it significantly reduces platelet aggregation and overall clotting time.
And the grapeseed.
Grapeseed extract acts in a similar way, but it utilizes compounds called polyphenols and flavonoids to reduce the time it takes for a clot to form. It actually acts as both an antiplatelet and an anticoagulant.
Hold on, you just threw polyphenols and flavonoids at me. I see those words printed on fancy tea boxes all the time, but what are they actually doing in my blood?
Fair question. Think of polyphenols and flavonoids as...
That makes so much more sense. Now, what does this look like in traditional medicines? I'm looking at dong quai, which I know is a staple in traditional Chinese medicine.
Dong quai, or Angelica sinensis, has been used for centuries. It's sometimes referred to as female ginseng.
What does it do to the blood?
Chemically, it packs a brilliant double punch. It naturally contains coumarin, So it's an anticoagulant blocking vitamin K, just like the cinnamon we talked about, but it also contains ferulic acid, which provides antiplatelet activity.
So it attacks the clotting process from two different angles.
Exactly. It's very potent.
And what about ginkgo biloba? I see that everywhere.
Ginkgo is heavily utilized because it improves blood flow, which helps with hypertension and cognitive function. It does this through bioactive substances called ginkgolides.
How exactly do ginkgolides work?
Ginkgolides specifically block a substance in your body called platelet activating factor, or PAF. By blocking PAF, the platelets basically never get the signal to clump together.
That sounds great.
It is, but this is where it gets risky. Because it is so effective at blocking that signal, if you mix ginkgo with NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen, you exponentially increase your risk of severe internal bleeding.
Man, you really have to be careful with these combinations. Okay, next on the supplement list is something called N-acetylcysteine, or NAC.
NAC is a supplement derived from the amino acid cysteine. What's really unique about NAC is that in lab studies, it reduces clot formation in a strictly dose-dependent manner.
Dose-dependent, meaning the more you take, the thinner your blood gets.
Exactly. The higher the dose, the stronger the anti-clotting effect. The problem is we just haven't determined a universally safe, standardized dose for humans yet.
Okay, now here is the item that genuinely caught me off guard. Melatonin.
I know, it sounds totally out of place, right?
It really does. Wait, isn't that just a sleep hormone? I take a gummy when I'm jet lagged. Why on earth is a sleep aid on a list of cardiovascular blood thinners?
It's completely counterintuitive. We strictly associate melatonin with the brain and sleep cycles. But this hormone has a completely hidden resume in the cardiovascular system.
Like what?
Research shows that melatonin possesses powerful anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and anti-clotting properties. It actively communicates with your blood platelets, calming them down.
That is wild.
Because of this, it might actually offer unique protections for people with specific types of heart disease. We still need to figure out the exact clinical dosage for preventing blood clots, but it is doing far more than just fixing your circadian rhythm.
That is staggering.
Yeah.
The thing you take to fall asleep on a plane is actively modifying your platelets. Okay, as we step back and look at all these options, from the kitchen spices to the cranberry juice to the supplements, it all sounds wonderfully natural.
It does.
But that leads us directly into a very dangerous mental trap. The assumption that natural means safe.
It is perhaps the most dangerous assumption you can make regarding your heart. Natural does not mean harmless. Let's look at the botanical origins of some of our most common medicines to prove this. Take willow bark, for example.
Right. Literal bark from a willow tree. What does that do?
The bark contains a phytochemical called salicin. If you look at salicin under a microscope, it operates exactly like aspirin.
Wait, really?
In fact, it is the natural biological blueprint for aspirin. Because of the salicin, willow bark acts as an aggressive antiplatelet. We see the exact same thing in the aloe vera plant, which contains antiplatelet salicylates that have proven effects on blood clotting.
So when I drink aloe juice or take a willow bark supplement, I'm basically consuming raw, unrefined pharmaceutical ingredients.
You are.
Which brings me to a huge structural question. If I go to a pharmacy and get a prescribed blood thinner, I know exactly what is in that tiny pill, the dosage is exact. But if I buy willow bark or aloe or ginkgo supplements off a shelf at the grocery store, who is regulating that?
That is the reality check everyone needs to hear. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration does not regulate dietary supplements the way it tightly controls prescription medications.
So it's the Wild West.
Pretty much. A bottle of herbal supplements might not even contain the ingredients listed on the back. The dosages can swing wildly from batch to batch, and safety studies are rarely performed before they hit the shelves. You are essentially navigating in the dark.
If the FDA isn't verifying the contents and there are no standard doses, how am I supposed to protect myself? Because if I mix a prescription thinner with an unregulated ginkgo supplement, I could cause a massive internal bleed right away.
Precisely. Let's talk about the compounding mechanism. If your medication is already acting as a bouncer, blocking vitamin K, and then you add a massive, unregulated dose of ginkgo that coats your platelets in slippery ginkgolides, you have completely dismantled your blood's ability to patch a leak from multiple angles. It's catastrophic.
So how do you safely navigate this?
First and foremost, never replace your prescribed blood thinners with natural herbs without explicit medical direction. Just don't do it.
Right.
Second, Watch your body closely for severe allergic reactions, hives, shortness of breath. But practically speaking, when you buy a supplement, you need to look for independent testing seals on the bottle.
Like what kind of seals?
Look for seals from the National Sanitation Foundation, the NSF, the United States Pharmacopoeia, USP, or Consumer Lab.
Okay, NSF, USP, or Consumer Lab.
Right. These organizations independently test the products to ensure there are no heavy metals or contaminants, and that the bottle actually contains what the label claims.
And obviously talk to your doctor to map out a safe schedule because some of these might need to be taken with food or spaced out hours away from other medications.
Absolutely. A registered dietitian, nutritionist, or a pharmacist can help you avoid these invisible cross reactions.
What a wild journey. To recap this for you, we started at the everyday spice rack and realized that the cinnamon in your coffee, the cayenne in your chili, and the garlic in your pasta are all actively manipulating your cellular biology.
Yeah, they really are.
We navigated the whiplash of cranberry juice guidelines and discovered the vitamin K paradox, where a healthy kale salad can secretly sabotage your prescription medication. We even learned that the fish oil in your cabinet and the melatonin on your nightstand are pulling double duty as cardiovascular agents.
It really proves how incredibly dynamic and responsive our daily diet is. And, if we zoom out and connect all these mechanisms to the bigger picture, it leaves us with a truly fascinating idea.
What's that?
As science continues to map out exactly how our blood reacts to these everyday phytochemicals and amino acids, we might be looking at a massive shift in how we treat heart conditions.
How so? Like replacing pills?
Well, yeah. Could the future of heart medicine move away from the traditional one-size-fits-all prescription pills? We might be heading toward a world of highly personalized, DNA-specific culinary prescriptions.
Oh, wow, culinary prescriptions.
Imagine a future where your doctor analyzes your blood's unique clotting factors and, instead of handing you a bottle of warfarin, prescribes a highly specific daily dietary intake of gingerol, curcumin, and omega-3s tailored exactly to your body's chemistry.
A literal culinary prescription. That completely changes how you view a trip to the grocery store. It is definitely something for you to chew on. Pun entirely intended. The next time you're standing over the stove deciding just how much garlic or turmeric to toss into your dinner. Thank you all for joining us on this exploration of your kitchen's hidden pharmacy. Remember to stay curious, read your supplement labels closely, and always eat smart. We'll see you next time.